Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome to the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you all for joining us. I'm your host, Ben.
And I'm your co-host, Carissa.
Perfect. So, everyone, hey, welcome back. We apologize for yesterday. That was, this is actually pretty relevant to what we are about to talk about because Windows updates, they will mess you up. They hit harder than a truck. So, everyone, again, we apologize for yesterday, but we're here today and we have a lot to talk about. We have a couple of segments we have a particular segment that I think has huge mass appeal, but it's something that I wanted to do that, just in case anyone ever says to me, well, how do I do X? And I feel like this is going to be that segment. It's going to be very beginner friendly. So that means that if you are an advanced user, you may find a lot of the stuff painfully obvious, but that's okay, because turns out I need myself reminded of this from time to time. Sometimes you may think that you're a novice or you don't know that much, but then you meet someone who truly doesn't know that much, and boy, do they not know anything. So this one's going to be for them, and it's hey, a lot of the basics on how to maintain your digital life. It's becoming more and more important, and the real kind of inspiration behind this segment was none other than Carissa. I'm assuming that you actually just sent a picture to us not too long ago about the air quality over in Colorado.
Yeah.
Pretty bad. And the reason that I bring that up is that, seeing all these people, having to vacate their homes, leave everything that they own behind, and they, unfortunately return back to nothing in a lot of cases. It's, it's something that I wanted to, kind of put out there because not everyone has their ducks in a row when it comes to disaster and recovery and, just things that basic maintenance should take care of in case of one of these disasters. You shouldn't wait till the disaster to go, oh boy, I really should have done this. So yeah, that's going to be the inspiration behind this. So everyone, before we get started, computeramerica.com, that's where you'll find everything. We finally put up all the past shows. There were only 9 of them. So yeah, which is over 3 weeks of shows. But everyone, you can find them all there with the show notes, links, relevant articles, podcasts, reviews, show notes, everything and anything that you need to hear about. Hey, computeramerica.com. You can definitely see it there. So, with that being said, I think that, find us on social media, at Computer America on all social media outlets. And Carissa, unless there's anything you wanted to bring up, I think we're good to go.
No, I'm ready.
All right, perfect. So, everyone, I, again, don't have a jingle for special segments, but today's special segment is, once again, all about maintaining your digital life. Now, perfect. Yeah, thank you. That's royalties not included, but that'll definitely do. And yeah, I think that this is going to be, again, a segment dedicated to anyone who, I think even the most advanced user can at times be forgetful of some of the basics. I know that myself, I was actually coming up with this. And for example, one of the things I thought about was, man, I really haven't dusted my computer in probably 18 months or so.
Yikes.
Yeah, I know. It's the poor thing is probably nothing but dust at this point. But yeah.
It's so very important though, because when I was working in the event rental business, one of my computers actually stopped working. I had to get a whole new computer because nobody had ever opened it. It had been years since that had happened. It just seized up a bunch of the disk drives and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really important that happens.
Yeah, no, basic maintenance. That is the topic of today. And yes, even I myself neglect to do this. So I think a good place to start is going to be maintaining a computer. And there was a particular website that I was kind of pulling from, let's see, and I think it was, I started with backups, and I might not have included the source article, because honestly, when you read about this stuff, and I was searching for, especially some of the basics and the how-tos, I like the first article that actually came up was an article from 2008. Yeah, that's like before iPhones were invented. It's the information on the internet is, unfortunately, back in the mid 2000s, most of the information on the internet was very recent and obviously very relevant in the mid 2000s, whereas here in 2020, some of the information that you could be finding is 20 years old in some case. You got to make sure that you are really looking at the dates and making sure that you're getting good, relevant information. So, the first place to start would be backups. Carissa, what do you know about backups?
I know that it's good to do that. I just did it for my Nintendo Switch recently, and it's functional for if stuff goes wrong, the internet has your back in the backup.
The internet is one way to have a backup, and actually, I think that's the way that most people should probably go. This article here from PC Mag, and while we don't necessarily agree on all the promotion that they're doing, they do actually do very, very good write-ups. And this, as an example, saying why should you back up your PC, they give a nice little story about Delta Airlines, everyone's favorite airline. Yeah, they had to cancel about 1,300 flights, cost them about $100 million, and it was because the computer systems went down and they did not have suitable backups, and even more important, they didn't have a way to implement the backups and get them back up and running, in a timely manner. Obviously, most people's personal computers are not going to cost you $100 million. But like I said before, if you have to flee because of natural disaster, if there's a lightning strike on your house, if there is user error and you accidentally delete your System32 file, being able to get all that back and get it back fast, that is going to be invaluable for what you do. So, and of course, there's also hard drive crashes, which we're going to talk a bit about checking your hard drive health here in a minute, as well as ransomware and malware in general, which is always an issue. But you should back up your PC, because just imagine for a second that you didn't have your phone, you didn't have your PC. Think about everything on your phone or on your computer. And, and really in particular, think about photos and files and documents, because you will never get those back in most cases if you don't have a backup. And if you have family photos, if you have family videos that are only found on one system, and you think, man, I really cannot get those anywhere else, that's a problem. That's when you say to yourself, I need to come up with a backup plan. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, a backup plan. So, and obviously, this is going to vary a little bit between PC and Mac. If you have a Mac, in most cases, it's pretty similar, just a different application, but same steps. And actually, Mac has like Time Machine, so they actually have like a built-in one as well that works very, very well that we recommend. But anyways, let's go and get into this. So there's actually backup software, which is the first thing that I would recommend people do. I included another link here to Extreme Tech that we'll talk about here in just a minute. But most people do software that you download, and we don't have a particular favorite. I think that everyone has heard of backup services, and not Monster. What is the name of that one that sounds like Monster? Well, here's some. I mean, there's iDrive. Acronis is a really big one. They've been around forever. They're a bit more expensive and on the premium side, but they're very, very good. They have like one backup, Live Drive. There's also OneDrive from Microsoft. You can definitely do backups to a OneDrive. You can make backups to Google if you pay for the extra storage space. You can actually do backups to Google. And there's Carbonite. They advertise all the time. They're very, very good. And there's actually a ton of different services, and the real difference between all of them is kind of speed at which you can upload to the cloud. Because if you're, Carissa, do you know how much data you kind of have on average? I know that most people stream everything, so I think the need for like the amount of storage on your computer isn't as important. But do you know, just kind of off the top of your head, how many files and
I don't. There's a lot of them though, because like this desktop, for example, is also Aaron's computer, and he's got just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of school articles and just all these random, really important things.
I gotcha. So yeah, and let's say that you have 2 terabytes, for instance. The real difference between these different services is that the speed at which they will let you upload the data to their servers so that they can back it up for you, and the speed at which they will let you pull your data back down from the server. Now, after you get done with the initial complete backup, the speed and the time invested into making what they call incremental backups, which are kind of incremental updates to the stored files, those don't take very long at all, because the system will only send updates to anything that you've changed since the last update. But that initial one, that's where the different services are really going to matter, and of course in recovery speed as well, but not bad. So there's that one. Dropbox.
Question.
Yeah.
What is the difference between one of these bits of software that you would download and Google Drive, for example?
So one of the biggest advantages of using a software or a service that is kind of a brand name and they'll pay you, you pay them a premium, is that in a lot of cases they're kind of one click and done. They're very, very simple, easy to use, that kind of thing. I don't want to say that it's not even taking advantage of people who don't know the technology. It's that people who don't want to learn, and they don't have to. They can pay, $30 a year and get an all. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like a convenience fee. There are ways to go into your system and, like, even if you open up Windows 10 and just type up backup, which will pop up the settings in your computer for Windows 10, and just make sure that, it won't show anything private here. Yeah, if you're watching the video portion, you can kind of see it here. And I mean, right there, baked into Windows 10, if you pay for the extra service, which I think OneDrive is not that expensive, but it is yet another expense. Anyways, you can sign into OneDrive, back up your files directly to OneDrive. That's just your files, though. Which is, in most cases, what people really care about. There's, again, the complete image, which if you back up an image of your system and then you reinstall that image of your system, everything from your browser to your cookies to your settings to your application settings, every little detail will be saved exactly as you had backed it up. Backing up your files, if your computer crashes, you still have to reinstall all the applications and reset up everything and blah, blah, blah. Files, again, are probably the important part. You don't really have to get too concerned, but if you're really fond of your settings, then a complete image. Anyways, you can add additional hard drives. They're external hard drives. They plug in by USB or FireWire or whatever. There's a lot of ways to have these external hard drives sitting around, and you can actually back up to one of these, and it will, it really is almost one button. You just, click add a drive, more options or whatever, and you're able to specifically target a hard drive that your computer can recognize, and it turns it into a backup drive, which is probably one of the easiest ways.
Right.
So, again, the services just let you do kind of one click. They'll handle everything. It's super easy to do it. Very, very convenient. But if you wanted to do it yourself, then that's also not very hard. You just need to kind of provide your own hardware and software. Now, another quiz for you, Carissa. The difference between cloud backup and offsite backup. Because there is a difference. They're similar. I will give you that.
I feel like the cloud backup is going to be more digitally based, whereas the offsite is going to be massive racks. But then again, cloud also requires massive racks with hard drives anyway. So I guess I'm not quite sure.
As someone who
seem to be the same thing.
The difference is in the kind of in my head, like one is the other, but the other is not the other. Whereas like offsite backup can be cloud storage because it's just simply hosted offsite. It's not in your house. Like imagine there's a hurricane and a hurricane destroys your house. Even if you have backups on a hard drive that are sitting on your desk next to your computer, what good did those backups do you because they got destroyed when your computer got destroyed? Right. Not useful at all. Cloud storage it's backed up to a server on the cloud. You pay for that storage space either through Google, OneDrive, Acronis, whatever. You pay for one of these cloud storages, and it's saved in the quote unquote cloud. What we recommend is that you actually set up kind of an offsite backup. And if you have a friend that you trust, if you have, maybe a relative that will let you set something up like this, is definitely a great way to do this. But anyways, you need a backup of your system that is either on the cloud or at someone else's location. I've even heard of people who super important life documents that they just cannot lose. They actually buy a security deposit box and put the hard drive in the security deposit box and store it outside of their house. That's the important part. Yeah, and that's the important part. You have the information available to you, just not in the same location as your computer. So very, very important. Also included in the show notes that we're going to put up, but you can see it here, Extreme Tech, and they even show you how to build essentially kind of like a server rack, although it's kind of a self-contained, holds like 12 terabytes, and you can address it. You can put it on the internet. You can give it its own IP address and password and all that good stuff, and essentially set this up somewhere else, either in a second home, a friend's home, whatever. And you can actually access this hard drive, this network attached storage, access it from anywhere on Earth and back up to it yourself. So instead of paying Acronis and using their hard drives, you're setting up your own hard drives to do this. It's a little bit more advanced, and it's going to cost you a little bit more because you have to pay for the hard drives, but it gives you all the control that you possibly need. And yeah, just to show you that it's there are other options out there. But backing up on-site, off-site, and in the cloud is probably your safest bet. And again, just really focus on things that you can't live without or you can't find elsewhere. So, and also, fun fact, Carissa, backing up to Facebook and YouTube and places like that, even putting photos in like an unlisted hidden folder, even though we wouldn't recommend that because, there's all the privacy concerns and blah, 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 but it is a form of backing up and backing up to the cloud. So,
well, there's that. I ran into an experience recently. I was looking for the song from the ancient deep internet, and I could only find it on MySpace. I had to make a MySpace account to kind of try and listen to this thing, but it turns out last year, MySpace actually lost everything from the years between 2003 and 2015. So even if you do put it on something like that, you can have a MySpace situation and it's just billions of bits of internet history are just gone, including all your stuff.
That's actually a very good point. You can also, for those of you who are really, kind of go with the route that I just said, fun fact, you can actually back up your social media. Facebook in particular you go into the settings and you can actually download everything about your Facebook, your messages, your friend and relationship requests and sends and things like that, your feeds, everything. You can actually request a single zip file that you download, and it has everything that Facebook knows about you in a single file. And you can back that up, in case you want to make sure that Facebook doesn't lose all your information like apparently MySpace did. So,
right.
Backup. Super important. Let's see. So there was that one, and then those are all different software. This article here, also from PC Mag, is talking about storing your data in the cloud and how easy it is. The difference between free versus paid, and really the difference between free versus paid. Free will probably limit you in two different ways. Where, maybe three. They might throw ads in their in their manager, but I did want to say that the free version will probably be slower. So if you try to do like an image backup and you have to upload, let's say, a terabyte worth of information, it will take a very, very long time on a free service, whereas a paid service might give you a lot more bandwidth. The second thing is that the amount of storage that they'll give you, everyone does their own form of compression, but a free service may give you, like take Google, for instance, like 10 gigs for free. And then a paid service will give you 1 terabyte or something like that. So the free works, but yeah, this might be something that you want to pay for or set up something yourself. That's also an option. The last thing about the whole backup thing that I wanted to kind of discuss real quick was checking your hard drive's health, because people think sometimes, oh, I have this old hard drive and I'm like, oh, I'm going to use this as my backup drive. It's actually, quite a problem. If you have like a 5-year-old SSD or like a 7 or 8-year-old traditional hard drive, they crash, and the older they get, the more likely they are to crash consistently. So to do this, there's a couple of ways. You can check your drive's smart status, and this is the self-monitoring analysis and reporting technology, and that's most modern hard drives will actually give you like a life expectancy. I remember it was actually time, like I'm still actually using it in my system. No, I take that back. I actually deleted that thing. I had a hard drive, and this happened, and I talked about this on the show like 2 years ago when this happened, Carissa. I had like an old 64 gig SSD. Like 64 gig back when I got this thing was a very, very large SSD hard drive. Nowadays, 64, not that big. I mean, you can get like a 500 gig for like $150 or like $120. It's not that expensive. But for a 64 anyways, I was like, actually, I take it back. It was a 32. Anyways, this 32 gig hard drive that I had, I was like, I'm not using it anymore. I used to have my operating system on it. I don't anymore. I'll save it for something. And my computer started to crash consistently. Like it used to just randomly crash for the stupidest reasons. And I finally figured out what it was. Like a bad tooth, it just barely touched everything else, and anything that happened to be stored on that SSD would cause the entire system to crash. And it was very hard to diagnose. And finally, I went into the system and did like the self-reporting, the self-monitoring analysis and reporting technology. And it's like, oh, this thing's actually the expected lifespan of this hard drive is negative 184%. As in, this thing is almost twice past its life expectancy, and it's time to get rid of it. Like, it was faulty to a very large degree. So you can do that. To do that, I think, let's see, you do hard drives on your computer, on your Windows 10. Device performance and health, is actually what it's called. And you can see like storage capacity, app software, all this kind of stuff, and you can actually go in through this, and it's one of these in here. I think it has to do with your storage capacity, and it will actually let you check your hard drives. And you should do that every once in a while. It won't tell you when they're about to be up, but older hard drives are more likely to fail. So check your hard drives. There's that. Check in Windows. Windows will let you, kind of check this out as well with a command line, which you can see right here. You can check them in Mac and all that good stuff. So everyone, be sure to check your hard drive. And if you do, then you get to go into the wondrous world of what is it? Hard drive cloners, where essentially you take your old hard drive, your new hard drive, and clone your old one onto your new one.
Nice.
it's a pain in the butt. I had to do it for my mom's PC not too long ago because we moved PCs for her, and it's quite annoying. So good luck with that.
I do see a piece of software here that you can do this with easier with. It's called Crystal Disk Info.
Crystal Disk Info. Is that for diagnosing kind of the health?
Yes. It's in this section here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you say here. I don't know wherever that is.
You were looking at it. Yeah, it's right there.
But
more detailed, smart information.
Well, that's Crystal Do World. What the heck is that? No, that's Crystal Disk Info.
Oh.
Yeah. No. This is right. Yeah. The anime character just threw me off completely. But hey, it is what it is. So yeah, it looks like it's software that you can download, and it will do benchmarks, and it will allow you to check out health like that. So yep. Okay. There you go. Again, all of these articles will be included in the show notes. So don't worry about kind of figuring out what we're talking about. They'll be included in there. But yeah, check your hard drive's health before it's too late. You want to make sure you're good before things go crazy. All right. So the next section, and again, this is digital life in general. So it's not just your PC, but if anyone's like me, my digital life revolves around my PC. So when it comes to malware, this used to be a much bigger topic of conversation back in the day. When you had AVG, you had Norton, you had Malwarebytes, you had all these different free and paid for anti-malware services, which many of them are still available today. But as far as I'm concerned, especially for Windows users, if you are looking for good, comprehensive security for your computer, yeah, Windows Defender. Krista, do you know if your computer has anything other than Windows Defender?
We do. We use Malwarebytes.
Malwarebytes. There you go. So, who knew? But personally, I find that Microsoft and their default Windows Defender is actually very, very good. I've had no problems with it, and I visit a lot of websites. It stays very up to date, and because it is developed by Windows, and I should say developed by Microsoft, it integrates extremely well into Windows at a very base level. So it's very, very secure. Now, the main difference between Malwarebytes and Windows Defender or AVG or Norton or any of these other services is that, let's face it, Microsoft is not an anti-malware organization. They have to develop the entire operating system around it and whatever. Malwarebytes, as opposed to Malwarebytes, they're an organization that is entirely dedicated to defending your computer from the bad guys. So they might be more proactive. They might have more recent definitions, more definitions. They're going to...
There's a lot of additional features too. Like that's why we got it, because we had somehow gotten something downloaded on here that Windows Defender couldn't even find. Like we had to Google it, and we tried 3 other programs, and Malwarebytes was the only one that would remove it.
Sure. And 1 second. Apparently you're breaking up according to Craig, so I need to reset something. Everyone, hang tight just a moment. Okay, hopefully that fixed it. I don't know. Krista, can you try talking real quick?
How does that work? Does that sound better?
To my end, you sounded normal this entire time, but to the software, who the heck knows? Very, very strange. Maybe it's on Craig's end. All I know. But anyways, so continuing on real quick. So she's still breaking up. Krista, can you try restarting or just unplug your microphone, plug it back in, and do all that kind of thing? I don't know why it's not why that's not working very well. It's not
Craig's ears?
Yeah, pretty sure it's not. So yeah, that's not good. 1 second, I'll bring you back in and try again.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Okay,
Is it better?
I'm hoping that's better, but for some reason, if it's not, then I don't know why it's not. Waiting for a response for that. Anywho, so yeah, there are other additional features, but really what you're paying for, or what you're downloading for free, is It's also no there still. Not good. Is there anything I could do? Like if I wanted to try that? Try talking, Carissa? No, because you're not coming in at all. 1 second. Properties. Yeah, no. That's totally on me. And yeah, let's try that. Try talking? No, not that one. Everyone, I apologize. We had problems with this yesterday, and I thought I had this all figured out, and turns out, no, I don't. So, try again.
How's that? Any better?
All broken, and they keep saying all broken up, which is again a very weird thing or
Still
weird way to
broken
put
up,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because you sound normal too, so like.
Yeah. Okay, still broken up. Carissa, for the sake of today's show, I think we're going to figure this out after the show, and I'm just going to talk to myself for the next 30 minutes. So,
all right, well, have fun.
Yeah, thank you, and we'll figure this out, and we'll go hit this up. Or do computer technology news tomorrow with you, everyone. Carissa, co-host Computer America, and hey, technical difficulties. So everyone, there you go. Carissa, see you later. Bye.
See ya.
Okay, everyone. So we're going to go ahead and continue on here. We apologize for that. And honestly, if that's been happening for quite a while now, I see a couple messages here that I missed that, yeah, it might have been. So I apologize for that. But continuing on here, malware. If you want to protect your computer from any of the bad stuff, just have Windows Defender updated and ready to go. You can download the other stuff. I'm not bad-mouthing it. If you feel more comfortable with AVG or with any of these other paid services, definitely do that. They're very good at what they do. And Kaspersky is another one. If you feel more comfortable with that, definitely do it. But Windows Defender, in my experience, has been all I've needed as far as that goes. So, that's malware, and you should definitely make sure that stays up to date every single day. We haven't really talked about a time frame. I mean, like with the backups that we were just talking about, make sure your backups are good to go every day. Do incremental backups. Make sure that your backup files are not corrupt and ready to go every 3 to 6 months, and make sure you do a complete image backup maybe once a year, and just make sure that stays up to date, and check your hard drives every couple of months. But as far as malware goes and these programs, make sure that they are up to date every single month, or every single week, if not every single day. The next thing is, when it comes to your digital lifestyle, cleaning and maintenance. And I got this one here from PC Gamer, because who uses their computers more than anyone than gamers? Well, PC Gamer, they have this great article about how to clean your computer. And we're not going to go into excruciating detail, but it's, but it has to do with how to clean dust from your computer. And some of the main places that dust can build up include your fans, your heatsink, your graphics card. Pretty much anywhere that generates heat is going to have airflow near it, because you want to make sure that you move that heat away from your crucial components. And anywhere that has airflow, that's where dust is going to build up. So be sure to wear a dust mask, take it outside, take it somewhere well ventilated, and hit it with canned air and dusters. And by the way, just for those of you who don't know, don't shake your canned air or your compressed air, because that actually reduces the amount of compressed air that you get. So don't shake it, but still clean it and remove all the side panels off your computer. Get to everything with a fan, get to anything with a heatsink, and make sure that those stay very, very clear and clean, because that will improve the performance of your PC by a lot. So, with that being said, let's see, there's also, if your PC hasn't been cleaned in a while, there's a good chance that you have dust caked in the fans, vents, and heat sinks, and a quick dusting won't, really won't hurt. So there's also deep cleaning, and you can remove all of your components. You can make sure everything is wiped down with a cloth, but dusting at the very least should be done fairly often. And then another one that I included here in the show notes are 3 different ways to clean your keyboard. I've seen a lot of gross keyboards. I've used a lot of gross keyboards. This is one of the best reasons to get a mechanical keyboard. I know that they can be very loud and, kind of harder to press, and they have different options for mechanical switches. But the point is, a mechanical keyboard, you can actually pop every single key off of a mechanical keyboard and deep clean into the keyboard itself without worrying about damaging the internal components. Just make sure you unplug the keyboard, and if you have to clean it with anything, make sure to use things like isopropyl alcohol, things that won't leave any kind of residue, and they will completely dry. So, some people even claim that they can put their mechanical keyboard into the dishwasher. I have not tried, or I would not recommend that, but yeah, clean your keyboard. Very important. And really just clean all of your peripherals. So, again, maintaining your digital lifestyle. Next one is, well, after we talked about cleaning and dusting, there's a new thing to clean. And this is add or remove programs. This is something that beginners or novice users don't really do, but it can probably be one of the best ways to improve the performance of your computer. And it should be done immediately after getting a new computer. You should do this immediately. And then it should be done probably every 6 to 12 months. Because sometimes you install things that you don't remember, or that you only used once, or you find yourself not using at all. It's something that you can definitely do to speed up or make room on your PC. So I've just included this link from Computer Hope, and it's a very, very nice picture walkthrough on everything from Windows 10, Windows 7, Windows Vista, all the way to Windows XP 98. Yeah, listen, if you're still using Windows 98, you're probably a power user, but everything from Windows 10, and you can actually sort which apps that you use, and you can actually sort them by the date that they were last accessed. So you can, sort in descending list the ones that you've used recently. So show the ones that you have not used recently, and delete maybe old video games that you haven't played in like 18 months, or delete old image editing software that you thought you were going to use, but you don't. And you can also remove from startup, I think is, you can actually remove applications from startup, and to do that, you open up the task manager, and right here on the task manager, I can't really show you this because I might have some sensitive information, but you open up your task manager, and for me, it's the 4th tab, and it has startup, and you can actually disable or enable different programs to start at launch. So if your computer takes a long time to start, then hey, that's a great way to improve boot up performance, as well as getting an SSD. But hey, it doesn't hurt to do that. So cleaning up old software, and then of course updating your software as often as possible. Well, I wouldn't recommend doing this every single month or even every 6 months, but maybe once a year. One thing you might want to look into, and it might cause issues, but it's definitely worth it, would be updating your firmware. There are applications out there that will do it automatically, just a single click. The reason that I wouldn't do it too often is that sometimes, especially with like older components and older computers, if you update the firmware, or the way that your computer talks to a physical part of your computer, it can actually break that connection. And again, especially in old PCs. So update it. There are some system performance increases. I know that for the graphics card that I had and a certain application, they updated the software, and until I updated the firmware, I was getting horrible performance out of my graphics card. To fix that, again, I just had to update the firmware, but you should definitely do that every once in a while. So, Melter Snowflakes, I like to keep a clean running computer, and really, really for that is the points of today's entire show, are just key digital lifestyle maintenance tips. So this is going to be the show dedicated entirely to keeping a clean house. And by clean house, I mean, kind of clean PCs. So there you go. Update, remove old applications that you no longer use. And again, I said, do this the first thing you do as soon as you get a computer, because a lot of computers come with software pre-installed that they're hoping that you will use and buy. Remove that immediately, because that's just not necessary whatsoever. And by the way, Ford actually makes a really good point when it comes to which applications you want to run at startup and which ones you don't. I'm also a Ford on this one, where I'm like, turn everything off by default, because if you need it, all you have to do is like double click a program that would start running it. That program that you access will actually start that background process for you. So there's really very, very little need to have anything launch at startup other than like maybe your anti-malware and things like that. But most things should be turned off by default. One other thing, this really goes to show how important this is, or how important it used to be. If you're an old-time user, defragging your computer was like, man, that was like the holy grail. You knew enough about computers that you were like, I'm gonna get this thing running, and it helped immensely with traditional hard drives. Most computers now have SSDs to some extent. You do not want to defrag a hard drive, because SSDs, solid state drives, they have constant access to everything on the hard drive. There are no spinning platters. There's no head that they need to read from. Everything is digitally and constantly available to you. So if you try to defrag, and defrag essentially means organize, if you try to organize an SSD, all you are simply doing is reducing the lifespan of your SSD. There's no reason to. If you have an old hard drive, or like let's say a 2 terabyte hard drive, you can do it, but modern software has really made it not that important. It was bigger back in the day, but really defragmenting a hard drive is not something you really need to worry about, which is a shame, because I love seeing those different clusters turn different colors and watching it kind of do its thing. That was one of my favorite things to do, but not needed anymore. It's really of the past. So that's about everything I can think of for your PC, unless the chat room can think of anything else. Your PC should just make sure everything is clean, everything is backed up, make sure software-wise you're good to go. We have another section down here which we'll include in the show notes that kind of gets into the services and applications. But really for your PC, just make sure it's just make sure everything's running well. And these are things that you should do every couple days, every couple of weeks, months, years. I went over most of it, but yeah, don't kill yourself. This is all general maintenance and tips. So the next place is to go out to your smartphone. Your smartphone, it's I think that most people would consider that in some cases even more even more important than their PC would be their phone. And by the way, just wanted to adjust this real quick for it. For anyone out there who had just joined us, checking health of your hard drives as well is very important. Make sure that the lifespan is not, kind of almost at the end of life, because if you have an old, kind of a 5-year-old terabyte hard drive, that thing might be ending its life, and you could be backing up to it. And if you ever need to pull anything down from it, then hey, it's just going to crash and it's not going to do any good. So make sure you check your hard drive's health. Very important. And we went over how to do that a little bit earlier. But now, number 2, your PC's good to go. Your smartphone or your tablet, which will have a lot of different applications. It will have a lot of your personal information, things like that. Some things you can do to maintain your smartphone. Number 1, get a case. I know it sucks. You just spent $1,000, $500, whatever. You spent all this money on this fancy smartphone, and you have to put it in a case, and you never actually you never actually see it because it's in a case. But you want to protect that investment, and a case is probably one of the first things you can do to protect it. Second one, get a screen protector. They're pretty easy to apply. They are crucial. Even mine that I'm kind of sitting here with, there's a huge kind of gash over the front of my phone, but I'm not freaking out because, hey, it's on my screen protector. We're okay. So screen protector, case. Next one, they also say, don't put it in the same pocket as your keys and things like that. That's whatever. Avoid water, extreme temperatures, as most people know. Keep it clean. Streamline and update your apps. Remove old apps that you don't use anymore. I can't stress that enough because they can still run in the background. In certain cases, if you launch them by accident or whatever, and they can actually drain your phone's battery life if you're not careful. So every once in a while, just like add or remove programs, add or remove your apps and what you use and what you don't use. You can also clear the cache. I would recommend this and not recommend this at the same time. When you clear your cache, you get rid of, kind of like autocomplete and, in search bars and things like that. If you don't care about that, then it can definitely speed up and improve the performance of your smartphone. You can do that. And then probably the last thing we'll cover here is look after your battery. Because after Apple with Batterygate and that whole thing, if you notice your tablet or your phone starting to degrade, one way to get another year or two out of it might just be get a battery replacement for $50, $60 as opposed to buying an entire new phone or tablet. Maybe a new battery could be just the trick that you're looking for. Okay, so phone, tablet, a lot of the same thing. Make sure it's not cluttered. Make sure the battery's good. Make sure it's backed up, of course. And make sure it's clean and good to go. So there's that one. This next section that we have here, and I'm running out of time, but check your subscriptions. And this particular article is talking about your app subscriptions, and just to know when you are paying for something that you no longer use. So many people out there, maybe you signed up for that $9.99 a month to a service that let you back up your photos or let you edit your photos or things like that. You can, of course, cancel subscriptions that you no longer use, or I've even found myself in some cases, I use the service and I still use the service, but I don't use it to the fullest extent, and I can actually do what I need to do on the free service as opposed to paying for it. Things like that. Kind of really evaluate what you're paying for and see if it's still worth it. And by the way, Google Photos is great for smart storage, phones, and tablets. Definitely agree. Google in general is very good about backing up your data to the cloud, as well as Microsoft with OneDrive and Apple with theirs. But so check your app subscriptions. Make sure you're not paying for anything that you don't know or you didn't inadvertently mean to. And do that. And this article here actually has different ways that you can check that. Obviously, through Apple and Google, they have different ways to check it depending on kind of which operating system you're running. But they also have what is it called? Truebill, for instance. There are actually services that you can go log in, sign up for. I think you put in like either your bank information or you put in your iTunes or Google Play account information, which seems invasive, but they're trustworthy enough. And they will actually analyze and say, oh, you are signed up for this service, this service, this service, this service, and you're paying this much for it. And it can help break down that kludgy mess of a monthly statement. So, maybe check out a service like this if you're really into budgeting, because it could definitely help break down all the clutter. So check your service providers. This next one, kind of for those who are really into cutting the cord, but maybe not even cutting the cord. It would behoove most people, they get into promotional rates with their service provider. If you're lucky, you have like 2. If you're really lucky, you have like 3. If you're like most Americans, you have about 1 to 1.5 service providers. And what I mean by 1.5 is you have one that is decent and you have one that is not at all viable, but they'll still advertise like they are the competitors. So anyways, check your service provider and make sure that you are getting a promotional rate in any way, because they will give it to you. You just have to ask for it. In this particular one here, this website that we're linking to with AllConnect, it will, you put in your address, you put in your street address, and it will show you all the different TV, internet, wireless providers in your area and how much they charge in their cheapest plan, and kind of all the comparable plans. And yeah, you can then take that information, either sign up for a different service or go to your service provider and say, hey, I'm not getting the best deal. Can you help me out? And 9 out of 10 times, they definitely will. Yep, be it Spectrum, AT&T, Time Warner's not a thing anymore, Cox, or so many other service providers. Yeah, just shop around. If you've had the same provider for 4 or 5 years, you are definitely paying too much, especially if you hadn't called them in a while. So, and fun fact, this is completely unrelated, but I think it was AT&T. I'm pretty sure AT&T just killed DSL and left tens of millions of homes without fiber internet. So, yeah, times are changing. Make sure you stay on top of it. And if you have DSL, sorry to hear that. So, anywho, there's that service. Make sure you're not paying too much. You're good to go. Next segment is about checking your security status, and these are things that you should probably do once a year or once every 6 months. Have I been pwned? Hugely important. We talked a bit about them when we had NordPass on the show. They just had their own, they just had their own partnership with them. But have I been pwned? Very, very important. Where you put in your email address and it will search tons of records and files and everything that they found, and essentially they know, has my password been compromised in any past hacks? Has my email been compromised in any past data leaks? Anything like that. Check this every 6 months or so, and you will be alerted to, hey, this username, this password combination is no longer safe to use. So check that out every 6 months or so. The next one is get a password manager, be it 1Password, be it Nord, be it, I think there's like PassLocker or something like that. Any password manager is better than no password manager. So highly encourage you to look into getting a password manager. It will help you be a lot more secure. Let's see. So the next one, we also have social media, and this is something that Carissa wanted to talk a little bit about before she had to say goodbye. But this one, even though it's from a couple of years ago, it's something that people should do. And social media is full of settings that they hope you will never look into and that you will never change. It's almost like an opt-out service instead of an opt-in service. And if you haven't done this, and if you're maintaining a healthy digital lifestyle, any service that you use, try to check your privacy settings every so often. Let's say every 6 months, because they change, and they'll actually alert you. It's like, oh, hey, we've changed our privacy settings. Make sure that only the people that you want to see your information actually see your information. Make sure that the companies that you're dealing with aren't collecting unnecessary information. check your social media settings, and everything from Facebook. You can check even down who can see your stuff, who can't see your stuff. Make sure that you're not just leaking information out about you and your friends, because that's the thing that happens all the time. Let's see, there's that. There's Twitter, and Twitter, Instagram, who can see your photos, who can't. This article is so old it even has Google Plus. But yeah, you can make sure, again, to check your user settings, especially if you have never done that, and do it every 6 months or so. Let's see. So this next one is also the reason I checked out this one from Vice, and it had a nice little image here. Most accounts, especially email accounts, I know that Gmail does this, and I think Outlook does it as well. If you're ever concerned about someone accessing your information that you don't know, and this is something that you can check whenever you want, you can actually see a history of who accessed your accounts and from where. And this is mainly for email, but you can see a list here where you can see, it came either through a different kind of browser, a mobile device, where it was registered to, where the IP address is from, all that kind of thing. If you're ever concerned, this is a foolproof 100% way to see if someone else is accessing your information or not. So check this out every once in a while. Again, only if let's say if you have reason to be concerned over have I been pwned, then you could check out that kind of information there about Google. So with that being said, I think the last one here that we have, and we might do a computer and technology news, if we have time, but the last one I have here is just check your spam filter. This is something that people don't really do, and this article here shows you how to do it for Hotmail, Outlook, Yahoo Mail, AOL Mail, Gmail, all the different email service providers. Check your spam filters and check your spam folder, because some things might be coming to you don't even know it. And hey, technology is not infallible. I think that might be a great takeaway, is that technology is not perfect. The people who create and maintain this technology don't intend it to be perfect for you. And you need to take a vested interest in the information that you share, the information that you receive, and just make sure it's all maintained. So check your spam filters and make sure nothing is going into your spam folder that you don't want to, especially when it comes to things like updates on your bills and banking and information, things like that, because it can definitely be caught if you're not careful. So with that being said, again, this whole show was kind of dedicated to almost like a checklist. Have I done this, this, and this? So again, backups, malware, make sure everything is up to date. Clean and dust your computer physically, and then clean and dust your computer software-wise, virtually. Don't worry about defragging your computer anymore. Maintain your smartphone and tablet. Check your subscriptions. Check your service providers. Anything that you're paying money for, revisit that every 1 or 2 years. Make sure that you're still getting the best deal. Check your security status. Make sure you're not hacked. Make sure nothing isn't compromised. Make sure all of your passwords and emails are as strong as they can be. And make sure you check your spam filters, just, kind of like the trash section. And hey, there you go. It's not that hard to have a well-running system. And the benefits greatly outweigh the time and energy it would take to learn to do this. Definitely easy to do. And download more RAMs. Yes. Obviously the meme. So everyone, that's about it for today. Why not? Because this just came out yesterday and we have like a minute or two to spare. Let's talk about the story real quick. AT&T kills DSL, leaves tens of millions of homes without fiber internet. Fun fact. So for those who don't know, DSL, kind of a debunked service, but at the same time, it's a service that about 30% of internet users still had to utilize, because running fiber is very expensive, and DSL can be done over phone lines, it can be done over power lines, and in many cases it was the only way to actually get internet. So yeah, about 53 million households are serviced by AT&T, and about 15 million have access to fiber. That means that all the others have to rely on some other way to get internet. And about 5%, let's see, so with that being said, yeah, AT&T upgrades leave poor people behind. So unfortunately, people with DSL, you got to find a new provider that's not AT&T, unfortunately. So, okay, everyone, that is about time. And let's see, getting your computer to boot in 40 seconds instead of 140 seconds is time saving. And yeah, absolutely, the benefits are immense. And boot up speed is just one of many improvements you can see if you follow these simple guidelines. So everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for checking us out. We apologize for Carissa. We'll have it all fixed tomorrow. Everyone, have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.